That's what we believe matters most. Making AI that's beneficial and useful to people, whether it's in their day-to-day jobs or customers or clients. Before I introduce Rebecca, I just wanted to offer three very brief points as we go throughout this presentation. The first one is that even though we're talking about AI, it's really in service to people. The second point is taking a product approach, being a detective, trying to uncover use cases throughout your organization. And then the last insight is thinking beyond chatbots.
When people are willing to think about machine learning as sort of a participant in their organization rather than just sort of a static tool, they're actually getting a lot more value. When I say intelligent agent, I want you to think boring. I want you to think mundane things, like small little domain specific things that really understand, a specific type of legal document or healthcare use case. Small language models, SLMs, not necessarily large language models, but small language models, fine-tuned language models. What we are seeing is that the more that you are willing to sort of recognize these mundane use cases in your organizations, the more meaningfully these little intelligent agents can contribute, rather than trying to solve it by buying a single artificial intelligence tool that says that it can learn any job function. Edwin made a comment in his introduction, think beyond the chatbot. And I think that is really great advice. Chatbots might be another distraction, but the truth is that they're better now. And you can see this evolution of chatbots. This is from Tim Murphy at TechTarget. When I was in graduate school, there were some of these kind of early implementations that were very rote. And then as data science started taking off, people did sort of figure out how to do better, right? And we sort of had this big rise of conversational agents, but they didn't stick. And I don't know if anybody else kind of had this experience in their organization of trying to integrate some sort of conversational agent in like the early 2010s. The amount of difficulty of making the conversational agents integrate with your engineering systems, with your data systems, with your security systems, not to mention trying to get them to more nimbly or effectively or accurately process the text that was coming towards. I worked at a company that did help desk technology for a while, and it was incredibly difficult to customize these conversational agents. That's different now. So the conversational agents are way better. I'm not going to argue with that. I think that they're great. I think it's really cool. It's a novelty. You can kind of have a conversation with a bot now, and that's really cool. That wouldn't have been possible when we were all kids. They're more natural sounding. They're also better integrated with internet search. So, to some extent, it's almost like these chatbots are sort of replacing the way that we think about Googling information. So Google sort of presumes, a single interaction where you sort of search for something and it returns the results, and it's using PageRank and other algorithms to try to give you the thing that it thinks that you want. But that knowledge is based on, limited information. It's what's available, what's been indexed on the web. It's based on your proximity. But if you have a chatbot that is kind of like interacting with you, it can help you get to what you want maybe a little bit better. And I think that's a good way to think about chatbots. They're sort of like the new way of Googling information. And they're much better packaged for distribution, right? It's way easier to get like a subscription to one of these chatbots compared to the conversational agents of 10 or 15 years ago, which were basically a giant piece of software that you had to figure out how to integrate into your architecture, which was really tough. So it's way better for sure. The problem that I think a lot of people are realizing is that chatbots are not domain experts. They're pretty good at generic conversation, but when it starts to get into anything that's sort of domain specific, they fall apart pretty quickly, and they do it confidently, right? They're confidently wrong. They'll kind of say these things that do not follow your organizational practices or best practices or anything like that. And that's why you're hearing about things like vector databases and semantic search and RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Those are all attempts to correct for the fact that chatbots aren't domain experts. So they're trying to hook the chatbots into a knowledge base. So it's like, all right, intern, go look at this knowledge base and then give me an answer rather than just responding right away. But again, like, is a chatbot really what you need? So let's talk about that use case I mentioned of these Department of Labor inspectors that are going out to inspect workplaces to make sure they're safe. They used to have to fill out a form to kind of document everything they discovered as part of that. Is a chatbot really going to make their life easier? Probably not.
The question
right?
is
a chatbot really going to make their life easier?
I shoot a shot.
Probably not, right?
I'm coming in.
Before I introduce Rebecca, 3 very brief